Hey Paige, I realized I hadn't done this question to explain to you in my other way. Here we go. So in this question here, we needed to work out 12 large signs and 60 small signs. We know how long a student takes to do either one. So what we know is it takes 30 minutes to do one large sign. Okay, so for a large sign, it takes 30 minutes. But you got 12 of them, so you times it by 12. That tells you the total number of minutes to do the large signs for one student. And then same thing for small signs, it takes 60 small signs. It takes 10 minutes by 60 of these small signs. So in total, it's 600, right? But what we need to realize is that the total time taken regardless for one student, right? For one student to complete all of this task is 960 minutes if I add these two together, right? That's the total time to complete. But they need the total time to be 2 hours or less. So if I have two students, remember, because it's inversely proportional, two students will cut the time down by 1/2, right? So half the time if I have two students. If I have three, then it's a third of the time. So what I'm really looking for is that the total time, which is 960 minutes, I need to know dividing by the more students I have, the less time it will take. So divide by the number of students, n, it needs to be less than or equal to 2 hours, which is 120 minutes, right? Because since I've got it all in minutes, might as well keep them all in minutes now. So your goal here is to say, well, 960 divided by n needs to equal to or be less than 120. So right here, all you have to do is then solve for n. We can say then that this is divide n, so if I times n on both sides, because that's a divide symbol there, so n divided by n is 1. So on the left-hand side, you have 960 is less than or equal to 120 times n. But remember, we don't want just n, we actually want we do want just n. We don't want the 120 times n, so we need to get rid of this times by 120. And same thing, the inverse of times 120 of these n's is to divide by 120. Whatever you do to one side, you do to the other side. And so 120 divided by 120 is 1. And with inequalities, remember, as long as you're not multiplying or dividing by a negative number, the sign wouldn't change. And we know that n can't be a negative number because n represents the number of people and they're positive integers. So here, 960 divided by 120 is 0, 0, so 96 divided by 12 is 8. And over here will be 1 times n, which is n. So that means n needs to be 8 or more. If you have 8 or more students, it will be less than 2 hours. That would be the technique. So the idea is that instead of trying to work out how long it takes or how many students needed for large, how many students needed for small, what we needed to understand was this is the total. So what's the total time taken for one person to complete all tasks? And how does that change by increasing the number of students? Okay.